In this video, we'll begin adding pickups to the game. These pickups are bonuses for the player, and they're designed to make the game a little easier and also to give the game an additional target to move towards. We're going to have two different pickups. One will be a health pack, which restores your health, and the second will be one that increases your speed for a limited time. We'll implement the pickups by first of all creating a generic system for objects that can be walked over and collected. This will include an animation that makes them bounce up and down to draw the user's eye. Once we've made that, we'll make specialized versions of the two pickups, one for the health and one for the speed. Let's begin by creating an empty object, and we'll name it health pickup. We'll add a child of this object, which will be a cube. Game object, 3D object, cube. And we'll make the cube be a child of health pickup by dragging it onto the health pickup object, and we'll press enter to rename it and change it to graphics. The reason why we're making this a child is to make the animation independent of the position of the pickup itself. Our animation will make it move up and down and rotate, and we'd like that to be independent of the location of the health pickup parent object. Because the graphics object is just for looks, we don't need to have a box collider on it. We'll remove the collider by selecting the gear menu and choosing remove component. Let's make a material for this. We'll go to our materials folder. We'll right click, create a new material, and we'll name this one health pickup. This will just be a bright red, semi-plasticky material. So we'll go to the albedo color and we'll change it to just full red. Next, we'll add the health pickup to the graphics object. There we are. Next, we'll add a script to make this graphics object bounce and rotate. With the graphics object selected, we'll click the Add Component button and we'll type pickup bounce, naming it. We'll press enter and enter again to create the script and double click to open it up. The pickup bounce script will simply make whatever object it's attached to move up and down and rotate. First of all, let's add some parameters that control the specifics of this movement. We'll add a public float called up-down range, which is the range of movement that we go up and down in. Set that to 0.25. We'll set the speed by saying public float up-down speed, and I'll make that be 2.0. And I'll also set a rotation speed by saying public float rotation speed equals 50. So these units for the up and down range and speed are in units. Rotation speed is in degrees per second. We don't need to have a start function, so we'll delete it. But in update, first of all, let's add the code that makes the object move up and down. We'll do this by using the sine function, passing in the up and down speed multiplied by the current time. We'll multiply that by the up-down range and use that to construct a vector. Let's begin by saying transform dot local position equals a new vector 3. The first element is the x-coordinate, and that isn't changing, so we'll set that to 0. The second is our y-coordinate, which is up and down. That's what we're changing, so we'll start typing here mathf dot sine time dot time times up down speed. This will give us a number between -1 and 1. If we multiply that by up-down range, we get the value that we'd like to use for our y-coordinate. Finally, we aren't changing our z-coordinate, so we'll set that to 0. If we go back into Unity and press play, we can see that our cube is moving up and down. Let's finally make it rotate by going back into the code and simply saying transform.rotate around the y-axis, so around the vertical axis. So we aren't rotating around x, so that's 0. We'll rotate around the y-axis by saying time.delta time times rotation speed. And finally, we aren't rotating around z, so that's 0 as well. Let's save our work. We'll go back into Unity, and I'll also move the whole health pickup object a little further ahead and up a bit. Play the game. Just got pushed out of the way by the robot. And now, our health pickup is moving up and down and rotating and looking quite appealing. We can also walk right through it, which is what we want. We do want to detect when the player walks through it, which means that the object needs to have some kind of collider set to be a trigger. This will let our scripts know that an object is passing through it. On the health pickup object, we'll add a new component, which will be a sphere collider. We'll set the radius to be slightly bigger than the cube itself. So about 1.0 will be fine. Doing this means that the collidable area is bigger than the volume of the cube. This means that the camera will not pass through the cube as the player approaches, which would look incorrect. We'll also turn on is trigger. This means that the object can be passed straight through. Next, we'll add a new script to this called pickup. Pickup will detect when the player, and not any other object but just the player, walks through the trigger. When it does, it will send a message to other scripts on the same object saying, this pickup was collected, you should perform whatever behavior is appropriate, and then reappear after a certain amount of time. Let's add the component. Our script is called pickup. Don't choose pickup bounce, rather we want a new script, so make sure you click new script. Pressing enter will just select whatever the mouse cursor is over, which defaults to the top of the list here. So we'll choose new script, we'll go create and add, now open the code. This is a good time to pause. In the next video, we'll implement the pickup class itself.